Hello, Snugglebuzz. Welcome to today's Hearthstone. We're going over the top 5 decks before March. The Lich King comes out early December. Can't imagine there's going to be too many, if any, patches from now until then as they're getting ready for the new Death Knight class. Let me know in the comments down below if you'd like to hear my thoughts on any of that. Without further ado, let's go hop right into the top 5 decks. Starting at number 5 here, as you can see on the side of the screen, is the Aggro Demon Hunter with a 53.88% win rate. Pretty normal, I guess, deck. Nothing you wouldn't expect. I'm not entirely sure why this deck has sort of risen. I think it's because with the introduction of the Lich King cards from a few years ago that they put back into standard, people are trying a lot more control-y style decks that are actually working, and this deck just kind of goes, you know what, if you're going to be basically creative and try something new, we're going to just try to beat you by like turn 3 or 4, and to be honest with you, it works pretty good. It has a lot of draw power into it, it has some direct damage into it, it has the pressures always as Kurtrus, and this deck just works pretty well. Of course, it falls short if anyone has any kind of healing decks or anything like that, or if they are getting lucky with their control decks and they get up big taunts early, as Big Priest lately we've seen do. But as a general rule, Aggro Demon Hunter, it just works. It's simple to play. It's good for fast climbing as well because the games are just super quick. Aggro Demon Hunter, as we can see on the side here, not really much to talk about it. Nothing stands out to me as overly exciting, but it's quick, it's fun, and it's kind of nice almost to see that the archetype is now finally working. And falling from greats all the way from first for, I don't know, 6 months or so, down now into 4th place, we have the Beast Hunter. Again, the deck hasn't changed, it's just the meta has changed around it. Some cards got nerfed a few months ago, which dropped it down, and it's still an overall solid tempo deck all the way through, but seeing it drop from, I think what was close to like a 60% win rate for months, as well as a really high play rate, down into this 54.33% win rate, cross Diamond through Platinum. I should mention, with over 1,000 games played, is as usual how I get these decks. And it's, yeah, again, nothing's changed, so I feel bad, but you have all your early game stuff. You play your Canine Ultron, Spirit Poachers, you get all your stuff out, you use your Rush Beasts to help clear the board. Then you move up to your Pet Collectors, you get your Rat Kings, you try to use your, the Harpoon Gun to cheat out these massive beasts down below. And then, of course, you have your finisher with Sire Denathrius, which I believe this is the only deck. I think there's 2 decks on this list that have Sire Denathrius in it, which for me, I'll just start out here. I've been taking a bit of a break both from YouTube as well as playing because honestly, Sire Denathrius, Theatar, the games just all felt the same. There was a variety of classes, but the decks all still felt like they ended with Denathrius, and even though it still happens and you still have to have that thought in the back of your head at all times because it is such a powerful card, I do find, since I've been trying to come back and play and get into the meta and all that kind of stuff, it hasn't happened anywhere near as often, which has felt pretty good. Sitting at number 3 with basically pretty much the same win rate here, we have the Curse Implock at 54.44%, so just basically about the same. And again, no new cards has seen its way in here through while they added all the old cards from Standard. And this deck was already a close second to Beast Hunter before Beast Hunter got nerfed. So you have the goal here of playing your Imps, your Flustered Librarians, beating them down, hopefully getting them down to like say 20 hit points or maybe even killing them with your Imp package, including all the way up to Inking Reform. And then if you don't, then you just sort of throw the Curse package at them, 1 or 2 here and there, Drag Below, Bran, and Socioricus Cultist, things like that. You just chip away, and then before they know it, they're trying to fight for their lives, and you just go, okay, well, we're just going to Abyssal Wave, give you another curse that does like 5 damage, and the game is ours. We win. It's a solid deck all around. I personally prefer to play it without the Imp package because, well, I'm just not really an aggro player. Those of you who are familiar with the channel, I guess, would know that. If you're new, that's just me. But, you know, everyone has their own style, and if aggro is the way you like it, then this deck I think is good for you because it has that aggressive style with a closer. A lot of aggressive decks don't have that closer, which is what makes them, I think, sort of fall flat because it's not a well-rounded deck, but this deck can finish games late as well. An honest surprise to me, at number 2, we have the Enrage Warrior, 55.27%. This deck is all about playing things that can either hurt themselves, getting a wide board of minions that do damage, and you get them buffed with your Imbued Axe, is the highest win rate card in this deck. Yeah, I would say it's the most important card in the deck. It's not the highest played win rate card, However, it is up there. When it's played, this is where you have like the 58% win rate. It's kept 76% of the time because it's just the most important card in the game. So after you hero attacks, give a damage minion, or give all your damage minions +1/+2, or +2/+2. When they buff that, so it always gives the 2 health instead of just +1/+1 before the infuse, and I think they also lowered the infuse rating. It was still good, but now what happens is you can flood the board, and then you play, like, you do some trades just to get it out there, or like to get, because your stuff all has high health, and then you play the imbued axe, all of a sudden you give like 10 stats to the board. They can't fully deal with it maybe in one turn. All of a sudden you play like Rokara the next turn to get everything buffed up. You attack again with the imbued axe, and all of a sudden you steamroll. This deck is very much, it's not the easiest to pilot because, again, you make one mistake or they manage to kill your first couple of minions before you can start going with imbued axe, and it's kind of just falls flat from there, at least from my experience and trying to learn it myself, as someone who admits I've never really played a lot of Enrage Warrior. So I definitely would have a lot to learn if I wanted to master this deck. It is definitely one I enjoy seeing in the meta, just because it's like one that has kind of always been around. Decimator Ogre has some nice little impacts. When you buff this right up, you can definitely smash the opponent's face really hard as like a finisher sometimes, so that's really good to see. But yeah, this deck, I don't know about any of you watching, but I was not expecting this to move its way up in the meta like it has in the last month or so, since they added in the Frozen Throne cards. But look at, here we are. Yes. And last but not least, the number 1 deck in the meta right now, sitting at a pretty 56.3%. is the Naga Priest, and we've been over this. I know if this is one of your first top 5, I apologize. I just, the idea is you get Serpent Wig, you play Nagas, you play Radiant Elementals, you buff stuff over and over again with these Serpent Wigs, then you play other things to buff them up, and then you play Bless, and you hit them for like 1 minion that has like 30 attack, and I mean, it doesn't always have to be an OTK. Sometimes it's like you get them up to 12 and just kind of hit them over and over again if they can't deal with your 12/12 on like turn 3. But it's not my play style, putting all your eggs in one basket. The fact that as of right now, there's really not a way to stop people from using Serpent Wig too often, so there's like not much counterplay to this other than having a lot of board clears and keeping their minions off the board, which works to an extent. But yeah, I'll admit, not to end it on that low note, this isn't my style. That hasn't been, but for those who like it, I'm glad it's doing so well. And what I will say to end this video off is actually, I do find the meta is in a pretty good spot right now. There's a lot of different types of decks. Like you said, you have these buff decks, you have like the Enrage decks, you have some controlled decks that are near the top, you have tempo decks and Beast Hunter. And the other side of that is too, there's Paladin, Shaman, Rogue, Priest, Warrior, Warlock, Druid. There's almost every class has at least one deck type, if not multiple, that have an over 50% win rate in the meta right now. And that's just something we don't see too often. The difference between the highest win rate class as a total and the lowest is about 5%, which is something that I think people have been asking for a long time. And, for a while we were seeing as high as like 60% with Hunter, and then as low as 40% with Priest and Rogue, so there's like a 20% difference. So it's nice to see that the meta has kind of settled, and that Denathrius is not in every deck, as we just mentioned. It wasn't even in the Curse Implock. I thought it was in 2 when I made that call earlier, but it's actually only in the 1, the Beast Hunter, and to me that's huge. So if you enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about the meta in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.